Welcome to the Know Your Legacy podcast. I'm your host, Vipul Basania, and today's guest is Brad Lee. Brad is the CEO of Lightspeed VT. In 12th grade, he dropped out, and this legend built one of the most effective training systems on the planet that has customers such as Tony Robbins and Daymond John. He's also the host of the weekly podcast, Dropping Bombs. So Brad, thank you so much for taking the time to be here.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. I appreciate you having me.
So one of the most fascinating things I've heard you say is there is no key to success. It's a combination. What does that mean?
That means that what's successful to me may not be successful to you and so forth. So, too many people are trying to, compare themselves to other people and other people's idea of success. And ultimately that's what causes a lot of people to be depressed and stop altogether. And, I think only you can determine what success looks like. And that means there's really no key to it because they're all different. So I just said one day, there is no key to success. It's more of a combination of things, and everyone has their own combination, meaning like combination lock. So it's a play on words. But, if what I think is successful is going home by 5 o'clock and putting my girls to bed every single night and waking up every single night and, bringing them to school. In my mind, that's successful. Now, if that's the case, well, then the 22-year-old party animal with no kids, he wouldn't have the same key, right? Because he don't have kids.
Yeah.
Or
yeah.
So everyone has their own idea of what success is, and it constantly changes. So it just simply means, man, you've got to determine what success means to you. And when you figure out what success means to you, that's your combination.
What does success mean to you at this stage in your life right now?
Well, to put it in an overall umbrella, I think success to me means that I'm living with such abundance that I can afford to give out as much as I want without affecting my core base. So if you can afford to give abundantly and be generous with your time, with your money, with your resources, to me, that's successful.
How do you get abundance?
How do you get it? Well, again, depends on what you're talking about. Abundance of time, you usually need money to get the free time, but ultimately abundance is a mindset, really. I used to be mad that I had no shoes until I met a man with no feet. Right? So what is abundance? It's a mindset.
Yeah.
I know people that literally think because they have 3 different types of top ramen. You know what top ramen is?
Yeah.
Yeah, they got 3 different types. They got shrimp, chicken, and beef. That's abundance to them. What's abundance to me? A couple $1 billion.
Yeah, so we just have to come up with the definition for ourselves of what that means, and then go and chase after it once we've got the vision clear. So
that's the hardest part, man. A lot of people don't know how to get what they want because they don't even know what they want. You have to be specific.
See, this is what I was going to say, because you dropped out in 12th grade. And I think that's like the equivalent of 15, 16, or you sort of stopped your education around that point, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, I stopped my formal education.
Yeah, of course, the formal education. But then
it was the 11th grade.
Okay, fine. Yeah, so the 11th grade. But then yet you're able to build a business that's doing millions, and you've got some of the, most high performing people as your customers. I've got MBAs working for me. This is what I'm saying. You don't have an MBA. So like, what does that process look like? Because we read it on the quotes on Instagram, but it's like, is it real? And it is real because you're living it. So what, if you were just to break down like that process of how you got from there to where you're sitting now?
Yeah, the first thing you have to do is take a chance. Too many people fear taking a chance because ultimately it's my belief that they fear judgment from other people, whether it be family members, whether it be, peers. They're fearing judgment. A lot of times people think they fear failure. Nobody fears failure. What you're fearing is the judgment of others. I don't know why, but I've never had that problem. I take a chance every single day. I mean, I see risk as opportunity. Most people are afraid of risk. Most people are afraid to take a chance. So what do? They do nothing. Or they spend their life worrying about what everybody else thinks, and then they are unhappy and they can't figure out why. Well, the reason why is because maybe you don't want to go be a doctor. Maybe you want to smoke pot and play guitar at the library, and that's what makes you happy. But you'll never do that because your parents would disown you and your girlfriend would leave you. Now, I would tell you, if that's really, truly what you want, you should do it. You know, you should do it. Why? Well, because, folks, what do you think everybody's out there trying to accomplish? It's not money. It's happiness. People want to be happy. So if playing guitar and smoking weed all day is your version of happy, who gives a rat's ass what everybody else thinks? They're not you, and you can try to please them and be unhappy your whole life. How does that make any sense?
Do you think that mindset is what gets people to be classed as the 1% or become the 1%?
Well, no, because the 1% is defined as the 1% of the people that make, you know, the top level of money. So there's a defined description of what that means. So no, you have to make money to be in the top 1%. It's not a mindset. It's a financial level. But in order to be successful, I've developed 5 things that I kind of coach people on when they ask me. First one is take a chance. You can't be afraid to take a chance. You know, if you're afraid to take a chance, you're only going to end up where you are now. Does that make sense?
It does, yeah, 100%.
Like, you must take a chance. You have to take action and jump. If you don't, nothing's going to change. Number 2, you want to be very good at solving problems. How do you get good at anything?
Practice, repetition.
Practice and repetition. You're right. That's an element. But practice and repetition. So why do most people avoid problems? Do you want problems?
No.
How are you ever going to get good at solving problems if you don't want them?
Yeah, it's true.
So guess what? You should want problems so you can get really good. There's just solutions. I mean, when I've got a problem, I'm just looking for a solution. What's the big deal? I'm not afraid of problems. I look for problems. Matter of fact, I went and bought lookingforproblems.com because one day I'm going to put something there that shows people how to build businesses. You want to know how you build a business? Provide solutions for problems and charge money to do so. If I could solve your problems, you're going to pay me money, correct?
Yep.
Well, how do I get good at solving problems if I spend my whole life avoiding them? You want to attack them. You want to face them, not only in your own life, but around your community, around your world. Get good at solving problems. So step 1, take a chance. Step 2, solve problems. Step 3, make adjustments. Don't be afraid to make some adjustments. Too many people think you have to laser focus in on one thing, and if you fail, you know, you go nuts and you think you failed. Make adjustments, man. If I'm driving to California from Las Vegas and there's a crash in the middle of the road, I just go around it. I'm still going to California, but I might need to make a slight adjustment. Too many people refuse to make adjustments. I'm either going straight to California or I feel I failed. Or I run into the crash and then I give up and I tell everybody I failed because I wouldn't just make a slight adjustment. When I started Lightspeed, I didn't start out as a training software. So I had to make adjustments to get here. So number 4 is train your ass off, but basically means personally learn and develop every day, every morning, every night, whenever you have a free time. If you're not personally developing yourself every day, learning something every day, then I think you're missing the boat entirely. And then number 5 is outdo yesterday. Quit comparing yourself to some jerk off on social media that might have a Lamborghini. First of all, it might not even be his or hers. Secondly, you don't know what they had to do to get it. Maybe they worked 20 years to get that car. Maybe they saved up all their money and bought that car, and that's the only damn possession they have. So why are you comparing yourself to other people when other people it doesn't matter. You know what matters? Yourself. You're the one that needs to be happy. You're the one that needs to be proud. You're the one that needs to be confident and competent and all the rest of it. So why compare yourself to this person when you should be comparing yourself to yourself? So I just call it outdo yesterday. Every day you wake up, be grateful that you got to wake up, because some people didn't. Number two, take a chance. If you've already done it, you're building a business, you took the chance, go through those 5 steps. And the 5th one, outdo yesterday. What'd you do today? Wake up tomorrow and just outdo it. Just outdo yesterday. What'd you do yesterday? Outdo it. Hey, I ran for 30 minutes. Okay, good. Run for 30 minutes in 1 second. That outdid yesterday, didn't it? You know, run for 31 minutes. You're going to think, well, eventually, dude, I'd be up to 2 hours a day running. Yeah, theoretically, but you can also use your brain and not try to find the fault in it and just start doing it, which is outdo yesterday. If you just outdo yesterday, the world opens up. You start to become proud of yourself. You start to realize there's opportunities everywhere. Maybe I worked out today and tomorrow I didn't. Did I outdo yesterday? Well, it depends on what measuring stick you're measuring with. Sometimes, you know, there is no such thing in balance. You know, you might have to work 10 days straight because that's what's required. And then you take 5 days straight and spend it with your family, and everybody's looking for this perfect balance. There's no such thing as balance. It's priorities. You deal with priorities based on the data. But at the end of the day, man, the 5 factors that if you want to succeed, take a chance, solve problems, get really good at solving problems, make adjustments, personally learn and develop yourself every single day, and outdo the day before. I guarantee you'll find success.
Yeah, because with that, I guess, especially the last one, you're forced to just go out of your comfort zone because you're constantly doing a little bit more than you did. And eventually you end up doing so much that you have to do that much more just to outdo yesterday, if that makes sense. And I guess that's one of the things that defined your success, because growing from 1 million to 2 to 3 to 4 to 5 to 6 to wherever you are now, you obviously had to implement that principle, and not just in finance, but I guess outside of that in every area of your life, so that it is all balanced and you've got the combination in the way that you see fit, you know? So when did you get that dialed in? Because obviously it seems like, you know what you're doing now, but for someone who dropped out in 11th grade, you obviously didn't know that then. So when did that click?
Well, until I was about 30 years old, I was kind of a dumbass. You know, went out drinking, partying, trying to impress everybody else. But at about 30 to 35 or 40, I started to really reflect on everything that I've done prior and everything that I was learning along the way. And then I got to kind of do business with a lot of big name, powerful thought leaders. And I just started studying what they did and why they were doing it. And I'm very inquisitive. Like, you can tell me something, I don't believe you just because you told me. I want to see why, and I want to see how, and I want to see, and then I'll judge my own opinion. Again, just because you're a guru doesn't mean I believe everything you say either. A lot of those gurus are full of crap. Like, they're not even doing what they're telling you to do. So I think between the age of 30 and 40, I kind of really started narrowing it down and learning a lot. And now in retrospect, when I compare it to even when I was 6 years old, I find valuable lessons of what I did right and what I did wrong based on what I know today.
I remember you saying, I think in the conversation you had with Ed, you were saying, I think you were selling candy bars or something like that at the age of 6. And then the way that you did it just outdid every other kid. So can you just share that story, and then how you've implemented that same enthusiasm or same, I guess, success when it comes to selling in your current business?
Well, selling is a skill that I developed over the years. However, I did find that I had kind of a natural ability, or I would say common sense, really, because I was out selling these world finest candy bars, and the schools gave us a pack of maybe, I think there was like 24 in a box. And you would go knock on doors and sell a candy bar at a time, or you get your parents and, relatives to buy it. And generally most people sold a box if they were lucky. Well, I went out and knocked on a few doors, sold one at a time. And then I just thought to myself, man, I need to develop a pitch. You know, I need to make it funny. So I'd knock on the door and I'd hold the candy bars behind my back. And when they answered the door, I would say, do you have the phone number to a good roof repairman? And they'd look at me and they'd see a little kid asking for the phone number of a good roof repairman. And they'd say, no, why? And I'd say, because when you taste one of these, you're going to go through the roof. And as soon as I said that, man, they just started laughing and they bought the whole box. And then I would go get another box and knock on the door, and I was selling boxes at a time. Where most kids sold 24 candy bars, I was selling boxes at a time. And all because I developed a presentation that made somebody laugh. So at a very young age, I realized that, you know, humor, charm, charisma, doing something different, saying something different, being different, benefits you. And so I didn't really realize, oh man, I'm an awesome salesperson. I just thought I killed it. And I won awards. All the kids that couldn't sell their candy bars, the school gave me all the extra boxes that they couldn't sell. And I went and sold every single candy bar the school had delivered, which was a school record. They've never done it since, and they'll never do it again. Why? Because people don't understand that sales is actually a skill. They're just knocking on doors, doing the numbers game. But selling is a skill, my friend.
Yeah, I know you've talked about this before. So what can you break down what you've learned so far in selling? What makes, first of all, actually, what is a salesperson? Because everyone has their own opinion. Some people like them, some people don't. What is a salesperson?
Well, a salesperson is someone who helps you make a buying decision and or explains a product until the point you purchase it. But that's not what makes you rich. A closer, being a closer, makes you rich. So I always say it like this, like if I'm at a jewelry store and you come in and say, I'm looking for a ring, I'm getting married. And I say, cool, what kind of ring are you looking for? You say, well, I'm looking for a marquee diamond, and I show you a few and you say, ooh, I love this one, I'll take it. Technically, I sold you the ring. When in reality, I didn't really sell you anything. I took an order. You were there to buy a ring. I didn't really sell you. I'm called a salesperson. A closer's job starts when the customer says no. Now, if you can take a no and turn it into a yes, that's the value I'm talking about. Being a good order taker or being a good product representative, you know, that won't necessarily make you wealthy, but being a closer will. And in order to close, you have to first understand what their objections are. But if you're not a good salesperson, then it's tougher to be a good closer. So they kind of go hand in hand. In order to sell somebody something, you have to ultimately figure out, how do I raise the value of the product or service beyond the value that customer has for their money? How do I do that? Because if I can raise the value of my product or service above the value you have for your money, well, then an exchange takes place, right? So how do I do that? Well, first of all, I need to ask a lot of questions. Too many salespeople talk. They think it's a talking game, when in reality, it's a listening game. The best salespeople learn the right questions to ask, the right people to ask them to, and then they listen very attentively to the answers. And then the closers, who are the highest paid, they'll even know how to turn a no and turn it into a yes. So I forgot your question because I was mumbling, but at the end of the day, man, closing is a skill. The meet and greet, the fact finding, the mindset, the product knowledge, you know, the processes that are a daily habit to get involved with, so you know your inventory. I mean, there's so much stuff to talk about. It's literally a master class. Like, you could study just the meet and greet for hours.
Yeah. So the question was just about what makes a good salesperson or a closer, and I think you've covered it there, briefly speaking.
What makes a good salesperson is actively listening and asking the right questions.
When you say actively listening, do you mean sort of listening with the intent to actually understand rather than reply.
Yeah, most people are listening to reply. Like I do an exercise. I say, listen, I'm going to show you guys real quick. I'll do the exercise with you, okay? Let me just get my little tools here. I'm looking for one coin here. Where's my nickel? I need a nickel. Okay, I don't have a nickel, so I'm going to use a penny. Pretend that's a nickel. Okay, and that's a dime. Where are you at, the UK?
Yep.
This is American money. And that's a quarter. Okay, so listen up, listen close. Bob's mom has 3 kids. The first one is named Demetrius. The second one's name is Nicholas. There's a nickel. What's the third one's name? This is a quarter. So it's Demetrius, which is a dime. Nicholas, which is a nickel. Well, what's the third one's name? Now, most people won't be able to answer that question. When if you listened, you would be able to answer it. Were you listening? But you've seen my material. So
exactly. I know the answer. That's why I stayed silent, because I want people to listen, actually come up with the answer. They should pause it at that point and just try and think about it. But that was really good when you first did it, and I listened to it. It was a really good exercise.
Yeah, so that's active listening. Like if someone wasn't trying to figure out, well, what's the joke, what's the deal, if they were just listening and just processing what it is they were listening, which is what I call active listening, they are going to always come up with the answer, because it's really simple when you go back and duh. Well, that's because you weren't listening to understand. You were listening to reply. It's just like this. Try this one. Okay. You're the bus driver. In the first stop, you pick up 6 people. Okay. Then you drive to the next stop. 2 people get off and 9 people get on. You ready? Next stop, 9 people get on the bus and 2 people get off the bus. You doing the math?
Yeah, I'm trying to, yeah.
The next stop, 2 people get off and nobody gets on. What's the name of the bus driver?
Vipul.
You're listening. So again, it's easy if you're listening. Too many salespeople don't listen. They just run their mouth and let me tell you how great this product is according to me, which by the way, I'm not buying it. So what does it matter why it's in product to me? If I don't ask you questions, I'm assuming why it's valuable to you, rather than ask you questions and find out why would it be valuable to you, and then learn that to do the product presentation that fits you and your custom needs. And everybody's different. People buy differently.
Exactly. I know it's so powerful. When I read that, I read a book called Cashvertising. I don't know if you've come across that one before, but that one, he talks about how people advertise and market and the whole mindset and psychology behind it. It's all about the psychology. And the first thing he says in there is exactly what you're saying, which is you have to think about it from the other person's perspective. It's not about you, it's about them, always them. That's why you start with questions and not telling, like, the features and the benefits sort of thing, which you've obviously mastered. But can you give some stories that come to mind of where you did that really well, and some places where you think you fucked up and you thought, I shouldn't have done that, maybe in your earlier days, just so people have an idea and they can paint a picture?
Done what?
Like you sold really well, so they had some objections, and then you still went past that and you turned a no into a yes, and then where you weren't able to do that.
Well, I mean, never. Like, dude, I'm the master. I'm probably the best closer on the planet. I always say that I'm the guy that closes the guys that teach you to close. I couldn't give you any examples of me not doing it. Some people aren't closable, first of all. But when they're closable, I close them. And the technique for closing somebody is understanding first that you cannot close a deal unless you know what's stopping it, right? So when someone says, all right, well, I'm going to get my wife, most salespeople they don't have the technique to close people. So what they'll do is say, okay, and lay down and let you leave. Or some of them start ruining the relationship by asking questions or almost challenging the scenario, rather than using a skill that I teach that ultimately allows you to find the real objection and close on it. And how do you close on an objection? What do you think an objection is?
Just an excuse.
Well, it could be, or it could be real, but let's assume it's real, because you can't close on it if it's not real. So most people will throw out a smoke screen. That's why you hear buyers are liars. Well, they're liars because they're going to tell you a reason they can't buy it or don't buy it or won't buy it. And that's not even the real reason. So that means they're technically lying to you. And people can't close on an objection that isn't real. But if it is real, what do you think it is?
I don't know.
It's a problem, right? Like, I'm not going to buy your product for this reason. Well, that is a problem for me, correct? Like, for example, it doesn't seat my whole family. Isn't that a problem?
Yeah.
You know, just think about any time you've tried to sell something and they've said no. What do you say?
Try and figure out what the problem is. Like, what's the reason behind it?
Yeah, well, that's step one. And then when I give you one, then what do?
Then you need to try and overcome the objection.
How?
Well, I guess it depends on what the objection is, but just asking another question. So then giving
no. Here's how you do it. Every time. This is a technique that'll work every time. You ready? You got to find out what the objection is, or the supposed objection is. Then you're going to solve it. That's it. And if you solve it, they buy the program. They have to. You've solved it. If they don't, what does it tell you? That you haven't solved it. Right?
Yeah. No, that makes sense.
Like, I'll give you an example. Hey, I'm gonna go get my wife to help me make a decision. Let's say you're selling me your microphone there.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thanks for your time, man. I'm gonna go grab my wife and I'm gonna ask her to help me decide which microphone I want. Okay.
Yeah.
We're role playing.
All right. Okay, cool. Yeah. Then I would just say to you, what is it that she needs to help you decide?
See, now you're being confrontational. What do you mean?
Okay.
What do you mean? Me and her, we're married. We decide on everything together.
Of course, but what are the factors that you're looking for her to help you decide on?
Well, that's why I'm going to get her, so she can help me decide. And that's up to her. I don't know. Like, I don't want to make the decision by myself.
Yeah,
So
then that is a tough one. I wouldn't know how far to take it before I piss the person off too much.
That's because you're asking questions. Don't ask questions. Solve the problem. Solve the problem, bro. Let's try it again. Try it my way. Solve the problem. Ready? I'm going to go get my wife to help her. I want her to help me make this decision. So the reason I'm not buying your microphone is because I need to get my wife.
Okay, so go and get your wife then.
Or let's go get her.
Okay, yeah. So let's go and get your wife.
Okay.
We'll continue the conversation.
Right. Now, what if I said, okay, well, then we go get my wife.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Which means you overcame the objection, because I didn't say no. I said, let me get my wife. Most salesmen, well, what does she need you for? What do you need her for? Well, what is it she's going to tell you that you don't already know? Well, come on, man. You got to ask your wife to take a shit in the morning?
Yeah.
Like, dude, I just told you I got to get my wife, and you're not listening. See, there's an example. But on the other example, sometimes people say that and it's a bunch of shit. It's a lie.
So how would you differentiate between the two of them?
I'll tell you why. Because your solution to the problem doesn't work. Watch. I got to go get my wife.
Cool. Let's go and get her now.
Oh, no, because I got some other things I got to do, and she's at work.
Yeah, then it's bullshit. Like, then I would say, well, like, what time does she get off work?
Oh, I'm not sure today. She might have to work late. Plus, we have I'll call you back.
What time works best for you?
But you see my point, dude?
Yeah, it's going around in circles. Yeah.
Your solution doesn't work, and if it doesn't work, it doesn't mean it's all a lie. What it could mean is that's one of the reasons I'm not buying. There may be more reasons that I'm not telling you yet, right? So it doesn't always mean they're lying just because your solution didn't work. Maybe that solves it for that one, but there's a bigger one that I haven't told you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
So how do you know? Well, you got to, what I call check the objection. You just check the objection, and if the objection is real, it'll solve the objection. You can do it with even what ifs. Like, if I sold you the system for free, would you take it today, or would you still have to get your wife?
I'll take it.
You take it right now?
I'll take it right now.
Okay. Now, obviously, I can't give you the microphone free, Vipul, but what I can do is maybe give you a ride to go get your wife. Would that help?
Yeah.
And if that's real, we're on your way to get your wife. There needs to be two decision makers. You're not to a close yet, but my point is, the solution works or it doesn't work. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. Yeah. So you're constantly checking it to make sure that before you go any further, let's try and solve that problem first. And if it works, cool, you're on your way to progress. If not, then you've got more layers to uncover, I guess.
That's exactly right. And most people give up, and they don't know how to listen, and they don't know how to ask questions. So what ends up happening is someone leaves, the deal doesn't get closed, and someone doesn't understand why it didn't close. And I can tell them every time why it didn't close, because you didn't solve their problem. Their problem might have been not enough information. Guess what? You're the salesman. That's why your product knowledge should be strong. And guess what? Not just on your microphone, on every microphone. Why don't you become the microphone expert on the planet? And when you're selling me, I realize that, dude, nobody knows microphones like you do. And I don't need to go to 6 more stores, because you know the products at every store. And you've impressed the shit out of me. And so now I got to go check out these other microphones. What is it you're going to check out? Oh, the Surefire 90. Oh, that's a great microphone, but here's the problem with it. Based on what you told me, it's not going to give you this, and this, where this one will actually do this, and this. The short side of this one is it won't do this, but that doesn't really matter to you based on what you told me. All of a sudden, dude, I'm like, boom, I love this guy, dude. This guy's my microphone guy from now on. Not only that, when I leave there, dude, go call this dude if you want a microphone. This dude knows everything. So product knowledge, that's what I'm saying, man. It is a skill. It is a craft. It is not just, put on a suit and tie and stand there waiting for customers. That's not salesperson. That's a position, but it's not necessarily professional.
Let me ask you this. With everything you've just said, did you know that at 17, because I know you were selling cars then, and you outdid if everyone, if not the whole store at that age, like, what were you doing then? Because it seems like you're a lot more refined now.
Well, I outworked everybody then. I understood the basic principles then, but I didn't. And, sometimes it's just a natural instinct and ability with people. Like, people say natural-born salesperson. There's people that are naturally better than the average salesperson for personality reasons, instinctual reasons. I mean, I've always been instinctually inquisitive. So when you told me no, I didn't know that I'm supposed to figure out why you're saying no, but I was curious enough to say why. Where other salespeople, they wouldn't ask why. They'd just believe you. I wouldn't believe you. Hey, I got to go get my wife. Great, let's go get her. No. Why not? Well, she's working late. Let me ask you a question. If I could sell you that car for $100 a month, would you need your wife? No. So you can buy it without her if you really wanted to. Well, hell yeah. Let's go inside and see if I can work those numbers. Boom. Next thing you know, they're driving away in a car. Guess what their objection was? It wasn't getting the wife. They didn't want to, they wanted the freaking payment that they didn't think was possible.
Yeah.
And they didn't want to tell me that this car's too expensive.
Yeah, so it's getting to the root cause of what it is, and that's, I guess, a game of psychology, isn't it? Just like going back and forth, and I guess it becomes fun when you come from a genuine place of curiosity and wanting to find out what is this person actually about, like who is this guy, like what's his, yeah. So, like when you're training up a team, if someone was to build up a successful team of salespeople, how would you then go about making sure that other people under you are as effective as you are? How do you replicate that skill?
Training.
Yeah, I know you talked about that at Thrive. And could you quickly just cover like a few pointers of what you think makes an effective training system, whether it's virtual or you're doing it in person?
Well, again, in person is much harder, but regardless of how you're training somebody, if you actually want to train somebody, you're going to need to do a certain number of things. There's 4 key ingredients for every training program that you expect to be effective. The 4 ingredients: 1, good content. Because if you train somebody effectively to do it wrong, they're going to do it wrong, right? So you have to train them with the right information to begin with. Then the next one is repetition. Okay, you need repetition in order to learn. That's why some people can hear a name when you get introduced and forget it because you didn't remember it. You didn't learn it. That's why. Well, you need repetition. That's why school was 12 years, not 12 days. That's why back in high school, we all knew fractions. Now, 10 out of 7 people don't understand fractions. That's supposed to be funny. The third one is practice. Most people don't give anyone the ability to practice and role play the technique or skill set they're learning. And then the last one is accountability. People aren't being held accountable to the information because a lot of them don't even understand the information. And if they don't understand it, how are they supposed to execute? So you need good content, repetition, practice, and accountability. And without any one of those ingredients, you're not really training your people. You're just exposing them, and you just think it's training because you have to have those 4 ingredients. It's like baking a cake. If you leave out the egg or the flour, you might get something out of the oven, but it's not what you expect. It's not a cake. To make a cake, or at least a specific kind of cake, you need certain ingredients. If you don't have them, it's just not a cake. It's cake-like, but it's not a cake. So if you really want to train your people, you want good content, practice, repetition, and accountability. And at the end of the day, man, you can do it manually or virtually. You can do it in real life, but it takes you hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and documents and charts, and it's brain damaging. Or you could leverage technology and do it relatively easily. Now, I always say there's going to be 2 kinds of companies left in the future. Ones who use technology and ones who make it. You got to ask yourself a question. Do you make technology? If you don't, then you better use it, because if you do neither, you won't be around soon.
Yeah, no, definitely. That makes a lot of sense.
All companies that don't make it or use it will go away.
Yeah, and you're doing both. So, yeah, it makes sense.
I am doing both.
So, for those who are up and coming entrepreneurs, as you've been and as you're still growing yourself, what would you say are let's just break it down to 3 points of becoming a successful entrepreneur, regardless of formal education? Are there three things that stand out to you when it comes to, regardless of what type of business you're trying to do, these are the 3 things that are important to you?
Yeah, I would guarantee learn to sell, learn to build relationships, and learn to believe in yourself.
Did you always believe in yourself?
Not always.
So who did you have people that were supporting you, like your family or friends, or certain people that you felt like, I can trust this person to help me out? Like how do you develop self-belief when you haven't physically got results?
Well, dude, I had to learn everything the hard way. So, I mean, I'm writing a book called The Hard Way, which is basically my story. And I had to learn everything the hard way. But, you know, I'm 49, bro. I'm an old duck. I'm an old dog, bro. How old are you?
26.
Yeah, see, dude, I'm alive damn near twice as long as you. So, but when I was your age, I wasn't even as smart as you are now. I was a dumbass. I wasn't doing podcasts. There was no such thing as podcast. And, you know, self-development were always $3,000 or $4,000 self-help tapes. I didn't have the money. My parents weren't entrepreneurial. You know, I had to learn the hard way. Well, guess what? Go out and learn the hard way, and you're going to find yourself really, really smart one day. And that's when you're going to be going, damn, dude, I learned the hard way. Well, you know what learning the smart way is? Learning from people who learn the hard way, so you don't have to.
Do you cherish those moments though? Like when you reflect back and you think, damn, that was fucking hard.
No,
Like,
I mean, again, all these people are bullshit, you know. Well, you got to appreciate it because that's what makes me who I am today. I mean, that's all cliche, but if someone said, dude, hey, if you want, I can snap my fingers and you would just be a spoiled rich kid whose daddy gave you $1 billion. Let's go. Hey, if you want, I can reverse time and have you remember everything from the time you were 26. Let's go. Like, dude, there's no reason to break your back and do it the hard way. There's no valid reason. Anybody that says they would or they'd prefer it, they're just being taught wrong. And see, that's another thing. There's a lot of people that think they need to learn stuff, which is true. But dude, sometimes you need to unlearn stuff. You were taught wrong your whole life. Like money doesn't make you happy. Bro, money does make you happy. Money does make you happy. If I just gave you $1 million, would you be happy?
Yeah, of course. That's why I don't get when people say that. Like They don't
say it because they're trying to justify why they don't have any, or they're trying to console somebody that can't make any. Anybody with money doesn't say that. Or money doesn't buy happiness. Yes, it does. I can go buy happiness right now with money. I know so many people that would be happy as shit if I gave them money. It's mind-boggling. If I just paid off your house, would you be happy?
It's a stupid question, of course.
Okay, so money does buy happiness. That's people making bullshit excuses. Don't listen to it. Unlearn it. There's 1 million of those. You got to unlearn the shit. You know, worrying about what other people think is another thing. Like, you know, don't listen to that, dude. It doesn't matter what other people think. I'm not saying don't care about people, because I do. I care about what you think, and I care about what other people think, but I don't care what you think so much that it jeopardizes what I think. What I think matters more than what you think. See what I'm saying?
Yeah, definitely.
So I wake up in the morning and I got to impress myself. If I'm impressed, I don't give a rat's dick if you're impressed. I hope you're impressed.
Yeah.
But I don't care if you are or not. I'm not going to go home and going, man, people didn't like my speech. People didn't like my book. People didn't like my product. I don't give a rat's ass as long as I do.
Yeah, 100%. Do you think that confidence comes over time, like just taking action constantly, and then you one day you just realize, oh, I'm on my own, like just fuck it, I'm on my own anyway, I might as well just do what I think is best for me?
Well, I think it gets learned. I mean, I didn't always know that, and confidence is learned or unlearned. You know, confidence literally grows with competence. See what I'm saying? How do you get competent?
So when you say competent, do you mean, because I never heard it that way. That's fascinating. So do you mean competent in your, like the area that you're trying to master? So like, for example, selling for you, you're confident.
Okay, let me ask you a question. Are you confident in your skill to walk?
Yeah.
So you have confidence that you can walk from where you are to where you want to go.
Yeah.
Which is why you can. It doesn't scare you whatsoever. But when you were learning to walk, you weren't confident you could do it, and you wobbled and you fell and you were developing and you eventually learned to walk. What was so scary about it? You were too young and stupid not to know you could fall down and bump your head. So some people, they in that example would mean they'd never walk because they'd be afraid. And imagine if you never walked, you still wouldn't walk well. You learned to walk, and then you got competent walking, and now you're confident walking. That's the same with anything. Confidence comes with competence. You're not confident in stuff that you suck at, right? So guys that can't get any girls is because they're not confident. Girls love confident guys. Well, what makes you so confident? Well, again, could be a freaking big schlong. It could be freaking, you know that you're a really good person, right? You know you're going to treat them really well. You know that your value of yourself is more important than their value of you, and you just come across confident because you know you're a good person. And if they don't believe it, next, you'll keep looking. You see what I'm saying? Because you don't care about one person not liking you next. And people are like, damn, and by the way, you want to see if it works, go act like a chick is irrelevant and see what happens. You walk up to a pretty girl at a bar and you simply say, hey, listen, I understand that you're incredibly good looking, but what else do you offer? They're going to be like, what? Like, no one says that to them. And so now all of a sudden they're starting to look at you like, well, damn, well, now you got to have game to pull this one off. But at the end of the day, you're going to come across as very different. And if you really meant it, but you're not mean, but you said that in the same way, like her being hot is irrelevant. What more does she have to offer? Does she have any substance? Is she a kind person? And they sense that. And then they're like, man, I just love this guy. I don't know what it is. Well, maybe it's because he's confident. Or even girls, women. I mean, women that fall over guys, let guys use them and abuse them. They don't have any confidence in themselves. So how, in my opinion, how do you grow confidence? You grow confidence by being competent, and you get competent by practice and training and being good at something. So how do you get good at something?
Just repetition of that thing that you're trying to master, whatever it is. I guess, yeah, because your confidence doesn't have to come from comparing yourself to like, oh, this guy's got this or this girl's got this. It's like, what do I have? What am I good at? And then your confidence, I guess, comes from the fact that you know you're good in that area. So
or if you don't think you're very good in that area, get good. And pretty soon, you're confident, man. You're walking around like, dude, I'm the best Xbox player on the planet. I grow the best weed. I can booze than anybody. I love who I am. I love my life. And if you don't love me, pound sand. And as soon as you act like that, everyone's going to be like, why is he so confident? Or some people are going to call you arrogant. Well, guess what?
I've had that a few times. Yeah, definitely.
But guess what? Confidence isn't arrogance. It's not the same thing.
Yeah. No,
arrogant makes me think I'm better than you.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. It's just crossing a threshold almost. So yeah, that makes a lot of sense. But yeah, I mean, just to wrap up with the final few questions, because I know we've been running for a little while now. It's interesting to see what you'd say based on everything you've learned so far, because it seems like you've come really far in your journey. Is there anything different you'd tell the 18-year-old Brad?
Yeah, I would say think bigger, go faster, and fuck what everybody else thinks. And I would say learn, because again, I didn't read any books, listen to any podcasts, seek out any mentoring, any coaching. I thought I knew it all.
Yeah,
and that cost me a lot of freaking years.
It makes a lot of sense. I just want people to listen to that point specifically, regardless of what age you are. You're saying 18, but like, any age. I think humbling yourself and realizing there's 7 fucking billion people out there. Like, someone's doing better than you are. Learn what they're doing. You know, like they're doing something that's different to you. And as soon, oh yeah, ah,
Yeah,
nice.
like this dude, YouTube secrets. You know, he came into my podcast. I get all kinds of thought leaders on my podcast, so I'm fortunate that way. And a lot of them sign a book and give it to me, and I read their book. Like, I already know how to do YouTube. No, I don't. This guy's got millions of followers on YouTube. I got 7,000.
Yeah, exactly. No, so it's humbling. And look, you're at the level that you're at, and you're still doing it. So it just goes to show the people who are listening and watching, they can do that in their life as well. Just buy a $5 book on Amazon, or like you get it for free, and you get years of wisdom packed in the book. So
not only that, but like, dude, sometimes it depends on what you're doing. Like, how long have you had your podcast?
I started in December last year.
How many episodes?
This is going to probably be episode 73.
Okay, so you're 73 times better than someone that's never done a podcast.
Yeah, that's one way to look at it. Yeah.
It's the truth. Like, you're better than me because guess what? I don't upload my own podcasts. I'll walk into a studio, talk with somebody, get up and walk out. And I got a team that comes in and does the podcast. So I don't know how to upload it to Libsyn and get it over here. And I bet you do it yourself, don't you?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Yeah, which means you know more about podcasting than I do. So if I were going to sit here and act like I know more than you, I would be a dumbass. Now, there's a lot of dumbasses out there. And they don't want to listen to you. Like, dude, you don't have a top-rated podcast. What do you know? Dude, the person with the top-rated podcast started out just like you.
That's exactly what I think. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, you have to just start. Like my first episode.
Dude, you know more about podcasting than someone that hasn't podcasted. Period. Why? Because you've done it. It doesn't mean that you're good, by the way. So watch who you've done it or who you're learning from. If I've never been successfully married for years, don't come to me for marriage advice. But if I've been divorced 55 times, might I know something that you might know to not get divorced? I've been divorced so many times, I learned what not to do. So you can get marriage advice from someone who's been divorced 55 times. People say, never take financial advice from a bum. Well, dude, that's stupid as hell. I would love to take financial advice from a bum, a homeless person.
Yeah, definitely. Just because it shows you the flip side of the coin of what not to do. Like, you need to know what to avoid as well as what to do.
Dude, sometimes if you're really smart, you're going to learn what to do by learning what not to do.
So do you mean like actually doing it and then failing and then learning?
No, it means you learn what not to do. That teaches you what to do.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah. So you're avoiding that from the get-go. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, for example, dude, I screwed the lid off this cane thing someone got me and it blew up. So don't take the lid off. Okay. Well, you just learned what not to do, which just taught you what to do. Don't take the damn lid off. At the end of the day, man, you're going to learn all kinds of ways. Like, the bum's not going to teach you how to be the wisest investor in the world because he's never been the wisest investor in the world. But he's going to teach you probably how not to invest. See what I'm saying?
Yeah. I'm following you. Definitely.
You're learning all kinds of ways.
So
you learn from everybody.
Exactly. Learn from everybody. Definitely. So the second question is, if you could just write one statement that would go in a time capsule that generations from now would read, what would you want that one statement to be?
I'd probably, what's the goal of the statement?
Whatever you want it to be. There'll be whatever you want it to be. Just a message you want them to read years from now, and it's from you.
I'd probably want to make them laugh and remember me, so it'd probably be some wise ass comment. But if I was trying to help the world with a simple statement, it would be, you can't get rich making poor choices.
I like that.
Like choices is what it all boils down to, bro. Choices. Wake up every day and make little insignificant choices really well all throughout the day, and they will collectively grow into the life you've always dreamed of. Choices is why somebody's life is good and someone's life is bad. It's all choices. It boils down to choices. Like, you want to get all the bullshit out of the way. You want to boil it down to the actual core ingredient of success. The answer is choices, period. Choices. The choices that you make every day, all day, equal your life. Whether you had the drink or didn't have the drink, whether you cheated on the girl or didn't cheat on the girl, whether you had ethics or didn't have ethics, whether you drove drunk or decided not to, you chose to drive drunk and you chose not to. You chose to have that beer. You chose to cheat on that girl. You chose to steal from that customer. You chose all these things. I chose to eat a donut as opposed to an apple. I chose to skip the gym as opposed to going. I chose not to do a podcast instead of choosing to do one. I chose to have Bradley on or not, right? Those choices is everything.
And when you say insignificant choices as well, for people that are listening,
insignificant,
something smallest, like what time you wake up.
Yeah, like what time you wake up, what'd you eat during the day? What'd you say back to somebody? How many calls did you make? Did you work or not work? Little dumb choices that you think are insignificant, like a donut. Like, how insignificant is eating a donut? So choose every day to eat a donut, and then don't choose to work out. And pretty soon you start to get fat. And next thing you know, you start to get depressed. And the next thing you know, you're freaking found dead because you're depressed, because everyone was calling you fat. No one would hire you, and you got tired of the rat race. And next thing you know, you kill yourself. Why? Because you ate a fucking donut. Because you chose the wrong shit. You chose not to get help when you did get fat. You chose to kill yourself, which is a dumb choice. At the end of the day, it boils down to choices, bro. There's no magic to it. There's no secrets. There's no anything. It's all choices. If you get really good at making choices, your whole life will reflect that. The richest people in the world made the best choices, whether you believe it or not. Now you're saying, well, what about the drug dealers that got really rich? Dude, give it time. Anyone that's rich unjustly will not continue to be rich. So you can get temporarily rich and then end up in prison. Is that a good choice? Yes or no?
No.
That's what I'm saying. Don't compare yourself. Don't worry about some dickhead that's out dealing drugs and being a bad person, because they'll get theirs one of these days. Nobody ever dies wonderful by doing the wrong thing. At the end of the day, worry about yourself and the choices that you make, and get good at making choices. Let me ask you a question. Is it a good choice or a bad choice to eat badly?
It's a bad choice.
See, everybody knows that. So why do people eat badly?
The habit. It's difficult to.
It's not a habit. It's not a habit. It's a choice.
It's difficult to make it. Yeah, but I guess
not difficult. You're choosing that it's difficult. It's not difficult, bro. If I told you right now, I'll give you $1 billion to never eat poorly again, could you do it?
Yeah.
Fucking easily.
So yeah, but this is what I mean. So the why has to be there. Like for me, I try and avoid those type of foods because I want to be healthy. I know what it's doing to my body. Like I've seen what it can do to the inside. I've researched and I've understood, and it's ingrained. And so now the choices change. But for those who don't, as you said, they just end up choosing.
What you just said is also another problem in the world. Mindset. Dude, if you think it's difficult, then it's difficult. But nothing's difficult. Like, dude, I thought making $1 million a year was all the money in the world. Dude, it ain't shit. I just didn't know that it wasn't shit. And right now, there's people out there going, dude, $1 million a year, you're arrogant. That is a lot of money. Only if you think it is. Otherwise, it isn't. Because it isn't. You know why it isn't? Because I don't think it is. That's why. If I thought it was, it would be. So your mindset is everything. You think it's hard because you think it's hard. See, you think it's hard because you think it's hard. It doesn't make it.
Yeah,
It
I
doesn't
completely
make
get what you're
it
saying.
hard.
Yeah, I get you. Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't make it hard because you know what? It isn't hard. It isn't hard to eat right. There's people that do it every damn day. There's people that actually enjoy it and it's not a big deal to them. You know what I think's hard? I think it's hard drinking coffee with no cream. Do you drink cream with your coffee?
No, I like it black. I just have black Americano.
Isn't that hard?
No.
Isn't drinking coffee black hard?
No, because it's a choice that I've made.
Exactly. Not only that, but it's your mindset. You
Yeah.
prefer it that way. It's not hard for you at all. Matter of fact, it's hard for you to drink it with cream.
Yeah.
And to me, it's hard to drink it with no cream. But do you know why? Because I think it's hard. Therefore, it is. It's not hard, bro. Eating right is not hard. Working out is not hard. Getting rich is not hard. Being kind is not hard. Nothing's hard. It's all a mindset. That's the truth. You're going to have listeners be like, dude, this guy's nuts. Dude, I'm telling you, I've learned the facts, and the facts are it's only hard because you think it's hard. It's not hard. Nothing is hard. There's no shortage of money. You can do anything you want to do, and you can do it as long as you think you can. Here's one thing that I say. It doesn't matter who thinks you can't do it, as long as you are not one of them.
Yeah. Yep. People need to listen back. Can you say that again? People need to listen to that.
Yeah, it doesn't matter who says or who thinks you can't do something, as long as you're not one of them. If you think you can't, you can't. If you think it's hard, it's hard. And why do you got to think that way? I'll give you an example. Sometimes I go on a diet, right? Now, if you think about it, somebody can eat Snickers their whole life. Guess what that's called? It's a Snicker diet. Diet simply means what you eat, right? So if you go on a diet of Snickers and donuts, you're on a diet of Snickers and donuts. Are you not?
Yeah, that makes sense.
But then when someone says, I got to go on a diet, oh, that's hard. It ain't fucking hard. It's not hard. You're making it hard. Your mind makes it hard. It's not hard going on a diet. You're on a diet no matter what. The question is are you making the right choices? Hey, I prefer Snickers over broccoli. It's harder to eat broccoli than it is Snickers. Well, yeah, but that's called intelligence, and those are called choices. It's not hard to eat broccoli. It's as easy to eat broccoli as it is Snickers. Snickers tastes better. Snickers is more enjoyable. But if you think about, what choice should I make here? What do you think the right choice is? Broccoli or Snickers?
Everyone knows what the right choice is. Yeah, you're right.
Exactly. So people are like, oh, it's hard. It ain't hard, dude. You're making it hard. Anyone listening to this podcast right now can be a millionaire inside of 12 months. And if you think, no, I can't, well, then you fucking ain't right. No, you can't. Because in reality, yes, you can. Yes, you can. If you start right now and do everything I just said, take a chance, solve problems, make adjustments, train your ass off and learn every day, and outdo yesterday. I'm going to add another one. You ready?
Let's do it.
Build relationships. Build relationships every single day. Here's what you should do every morning when you wake up. Okay? Exercise. Invest in your health. Eat right. Right? Invest in your health. Meditate or pray or, get your mind and your heart right. Journal, write something down no matter what every single day. Learn who you are, get to know yourself. Then invest in relationships, right? Send out a text, send out an email to whoever you want to build a relationship with. What would you do if I got your phone number and tomorrow morning I text you, hey buddy, I really appreciate having me on your podcast, man. That was great. Then a couple days later, I'm like, hey buddy, I remember you saying that you liked such and such. I just figured I'd send you Grant's new book on such and such. Or next thing you know, dude, I show up in, where are you at? London?
London, yeah.
So I show up in London. Hey, buddy, I'm here, by the way, if you want to chit chat. Next thing you know, dude, we're buddies. I built that relationship intentionally by simply building a relationship. Do you know how you build a relationship?
Break it down for us.
Well, just, dude, go buy the book, How to Win Friends and Influence People.
I love that book. It's my go-to book for any. I think every communicator loves it. So I'm not surprised that you love it. Yeah, 100%. It's so simple, but it's so powerful.
It is simple, and that's what you do. So every single day, put a little money in your relationship bank. Relationships are the new economy. It's not, I can't stress it enough. Relationships is the new economy. You want to be rich? Build relationships. It's all about relationships. Relationships are how you're going to get on a stage you want to be on. The deal you're going to make is because someone trusts you. Why do they trust you? Because someone. It's relationships, man. Relationships. So you invest every day in relationships, and then you write down every single one of your business goals just for the day. Don't talk about, I want to be a billionaire. Dude, start with 1,000-aire. Can you be 1,000-aire first? Like, hey, today I want to do this, and this. Today I want to do this, and this.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
And then don't go to bed until you get that shit done. That's all you got to do. So I'm going to add relationships. Outdo yesterday and add relationships to it, because of every day you say, I'm going to build these 5 relationships. Dude, consciously, by choice, build those relationships. At the end of the year, dude, you're going to have 5 strong-ass relationships that are bearing a lot of fruit. Could be spiritual fruit, personal fruit, or financial fruit, depending on what relationships you cultivate.
Yeah, 100%.
Anyway.
Yeah. I'll just jump on to the last question. I think you shared a lot of nuggets there, but you've now come to the end of your life, whatever age that might be. What's the legacy Brad hopes to leave behind?
That I was successful, which meant that there is an abundance, that everybody in the world realizes that there is an abundance in the universe. And if we can all create instead of compete, the whole world will become more successful. Too many people are looking to dominate this person and dominate that person and crush the competition. Why is your competition got to be crushed for you to win? Like, why can't you just win? Why someone else got to lose? Well, because you're competing, when in reality you should be creating. If you spend your life creating more for the entire world, you're creating. There's more. You think abundantly, the universe will give you back. I'm telling you. Think, create, and abundant. That's what I would want people to remember me by. Made the whole world more successful by creating more abundance.
I love that message, and I hope people listen back to it over and over again, because it's something that's obviously worked for you and many other successful people as well. So thank you so much for taking the time to share today, Brad. Really appreciate it.
My pleasure, man. Hey, one of these days, if you're in Vegas, because I don't do any podcasts unless they're live, like you're in my studios, but Dropping Bombs podcast, I'll have you on that if you're ever in Vegas, man. It's a good one. People are starting to we reach like 7 billion people on Earth. There's only 16 people in Somalia that don't listen to
it. No, I love it, man. Honestly, that's that definitely that's an honor, and I'd love to do that. So Yeah, definitely touch base sometime soon, man.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me on, man.